My name is James Carter. I'm 41 years old, born and raised in Seattle. I work in cybersecurity, not the most glamorous job, but it's stable, quiet, predictable. That's kind of how I've lived my life too. I've always been the guy people can count on. The rock, as my friends used to say. The guy who always shows up, pays bills on time, never yells, never cheats, never strays. The safe one. And for a long time, I thought that was enough. I thought being safe meant being loved, that being steady meant being valued. But that's not how she saw it. Not in the end. Her name was Emily. We met in high school. She was loud, passionate, full of energy, the kind of person who could light up a room or burn it down. I loved that about her. I thought she needed grounding, and I could be that for her. Turns out, she wasn't looking for grounding. She was looking for a thrill. And when the thrill faded, so did her loyalty. The last time I saw her, she was standing outside the county courthouse, mascara running down her face, screaming at a lawyer she could no longer afford. Her life, the one she tried to build without me, had turned into a complete disaster. And all I could think was, she said I was too safe. Now her life is chaos without me. But none of this happened overnight. It started quietly. Like a slow leak in a pipe under the sink, you don't see it at first. You just notice the floor feels a little soft. Maybe the cabinet smells off. Then one day, the whole bottom falls out. And that's exactly what happened with us. One soft lie at a time. One missing smile. One late night, book club, meeting too many. I didn't say anything, not right away. I just watched. Listened. And then, I planned. Because the thing about being safe, the thing she never understood, is that safety isn't weakness. It's patience. It's strategy. It's power without noise. And the day she betrayed me, I didn't explode. I prepared. The night I found the second phone, the one she thought I'd never see, was the night everything changed. Warm, nostalgic at first, then gradually uneasy. I used to think we had the kind of life most people dream of. We weren't flashy. No exotic vacations or matching sports cars. But we had our own little world, built slowly, piece by piece, over 15 years of marriage. Saturday morning coffee runs. Grocery shopping at 8 p.m. because it was less crowded. Watching the same Netflix shows over and over because we both forgot how they ended. And I loved it. All of it. We bought our home in North Seattle just after our 6th anniversary. It wasn't huge, 3 bedrooms, one of which we converted into a shared office. She always said the dining room was her favorite, because of the sunlight that poured in at exactly 9:45 every morning. She used to sit there with a book, sipping green tea, smiling at me like I was the only thing she needed. I can still remember how she laughed when I burned pancakes the first time I tried to surprise her on her birthday. She called me her constant, said I made her feel safe in a world that didn't make sense. She even kept a photo of us on her nightstand, the one from that weekend trip to Oregon, where we got rained on and ended up staying in the car eating vending machine snacks and talking for hours. It was one of our favorite memories. But now, I look back at all that, and I wonder if she ever truly meant any of it, or if she just enjoyed the comfort until it bored her. Because somewhere along the way, her smiles became shorter. Her phone became more important than our conversations. She started canceling plans, said she was tired, or had work, or needed me time. I respected that. I gave her space. I didn't push. That's who I was. But even the air between us started to change. Colder. Heavier. I remember one night. It was a Friday. We were watching some documentary about wildlife migration. I looked over at her, and she wasn't watching the screen. She was just staring at her phone, expressionless. I asked what was wrong. She looked up, smiled faintly, and said, "Nothing. Just tired." That night, she fell asleep before me. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt completely alone, while lying next to the woman I loved. And still, I told myself this was just a phase. That we all go through ups and downs. That she'd come back around. That I just had to be patient, understanding, safe. But I was wrong. Because love, when it's real, doesn't fade into silence like that. It doesn't look past you while sitting beside you. It was subtle. So subtle. But looking back now, it was already ending. She used to call me her hero. Then one day, without warning, she just stopped. Cold observation, slow emotional detachment, tension rising beneath the calm. It started with her phone. She used to leave it face up on the table, even when she got texts. Now, it was always face down, and always on silent. At first, I didn't think much of it. We all need privacy, right? But over time, the way she guarded it, that's what got to me. She started sleeping with it under her pillow, taking it into the bathroom with her. And sometimes, this is what really stood out, she'd walk into the other room to check her emails, even though her laptop was right there in front of her. Little things, but they add up. Then came the lock screens. She changed her passcode. Not once, twice. And the second time, she got angry when I asked what it was. Said, "Do you not trust me?" I laughed it off, but I didn't forget. Our routine started to shift. We used to eat dinner together every night, even if it was just leftovers or takeout. Now she was meeting a friend, or grabbing drinks after work. Always vague. Never names. And she'd come back smelling like a different cologne. Not mine. I stopped asking questions. I didn't want lies, not yet. I just wanted patterns. Evidence. Confirmation. One night, she said she was going to a girls' dinner. I nodded. Said nothing. After she left, I checked the GPS in her car's history. It didn't go near the restaurant she mentioned. Instead, it pinged a quiet condo building in Capitol Hill, one I'd never heard her mention before. Still, I said nothing, but I started watching closely. Receipts started disappearing. Our shared credit card showed charges from places I didn't recognize. Boutique bars, high-end lounges, even a hotel room once. I printed them all out. Quietly. I kept a folder behind the bookshelf in the office. I labeled it invoices, just in case she ever looked. And the way she looked at me, that changed too. She used to smile with her whole face. Now her eyes were blank. Cold. Sometimes she looked bored when I spoke, like I was background noise. Just something in the house, like the fridge humming in the corner. One night, I asked if she wanted to go away for the weekend, just the two of us. We hadn't done that in over a year. She didn't even pause. Just said, "I'm too busy," and walked away. But the worst part wasn't the lies. It was the silence. The slow erosion of intimacy. The way she pulled away, day by day, without a single word. I could feel the truth hovering in the air like smoke. Thick. Undeniable. But invisible to anyone not standing in it. And still, I waited. Because the version of me she remembered, the quiet, gentle, reliable James, was still here. but only on the surface. Underneath, something else was growing. Something colder, sharper. I stayed silent, but I started watching. Then one night, her phone lit up at 2:07 a.m. And what I saw told me everything. Heavy pause. Quiet devastation. Controlled focus. It was a Tuesday night. I remember that because she always claimed Tuesdays were her busiest days at work. Back-to-back meetings. Barely time to breathe. She came home late that night. Said she had to stay and close the books with her supervisor. She smelled like wine and expensive cologne I didn't wear. She went straight to bed. Around 2:07 a.m., her phone, the one she kept locked and hidden like a weapon, lit up. It buzzed once. Then again. Then again. I was already awake. I'd been pretending to sleep for weeks by that point, just waiting for moments like this. I turned slightly, just enough to see the screen from the corner of my eye. The name that popped up wasn't a saved contact, just a number. But the preview of the message, that was enough. I can still feel you. Last night was fire. When can I see you again? I didn't move. I didn't breathe. She shifted in her sleep, turned away from me. I stared at the back of her head and realized, the woman I married? She was already gone. And in that moment, something inside me just shut off. I didn't cry. I didn't shake her awake. I didn't scream or beg or ask why. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft buzz of a message that didn't belong in my home. The next morning, I made her coffee. Just like always. I asked how her meetings went. She said, exhausting, and rolled her eyes. Then she kissed me on the cheek, like nothing had happened. She didn't know I already knew. She didn't know I'd taken a photo of the message, or that I'd already purchased a second phone, or that I was about to turn the tables in a way she couldn't even imagine. Because that night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to demand an apology. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of watching me break. No. I was going to give her exactly what she said she wanted. A man who wasn't so safe. And this version of me was about to become the most dangerous man she'd ever met. I didn't cry that night. I started planning. Controlled. Cold. Strategically confident. Like a man who's already won, but hasn't revealed it yet. From the outside, nothing changed. She still laughed at her phone. Still claimed to be working late. Still played the role of a stressed-out wife juggling a busy life. And I played mine too, the calm, supportive husband, predictable, dependable, invisible. But under the surface, I was building a war chest. I started by backing up everything: texts, emails, location pings, credit card charges. I installed software on our shared laptop that copied her messages automatically. She never noticed. She didn't even remember we used the same Apple ID years ago. Every iMessage she sent, including the ones with photos, quietly synced to an old iPad I kept in my desk drawer. She thought I was too boring to be tech-savvy. Wrong. Next, I made appointments, during lunch breaks and late afternoons when I knew she wouldn't be home. I met with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a family law bulldog who specialized in high-asset divorces and evidence-heavy proceedings. When I laid out what I had, digital receipts, GPS records, timestamps, he nodded slowly and said, "She's going to walk away with nothing." That's when I smiled for the first time in weeks. I began moving our finances around, legally and quietly. I froze the joint savings account, rerouted my paycheck to a new private account, I refinanced the house in my name only. She had signed a quitclaim deed years ago, back when we refinanced for a better rate. She didn't even remember. I checked the county records just to be sure. Ownership, James Carter. Sole holder. Then I changed my will. Updated my insurance beneficiaries. Removed her from every document that gave her access to anything I owned. Not out of anger, out of precision. And every evening, when she walked through the door, still pretending to be exhausted from imaginary meetings, I greeted her with a smile, kissed her forehead, made dinner. Sometimes, she even looked at me with that same old smile, like she couldn't believe I hadn't caught on yet. She thought she was in control. But that's the thing about people like her. They never look for danger in quiet places. They never expect the soft-spoken ones to strike. And by the time she realized I wasn't asleep anymore, it was already over. She thought I'd never fight back. But she forgot. I've been trained to win wars without raising my voice. Calm but deadly. Satisfying. This is justice, not chaos. Clean, public, permanent. The morning she got served, she thought we were going out for brunch. I'd made reservations at her favorite waterfront cafe, the one with the cinnamon French toast she always pretended not to eat but devoured every time. She wore a yellow dress. Smiled in the mirror like she hadn't done anything wrong. I drove us there. Calm. Smiling. Holding her hand the whole way. We were halfway through coffee when a man in a suit approached the table and asked her name. She laughed awkwardly. Yes? He handed her the envelope, nodded, and walked away. Her smile faded. Her eyes dropped to the paper. Her hands began to shake. She didn't even look at me. She just whispered, "What is this?" I took a sip of my coffee. Looked out at the water. You've been served, Emily. Divorce. With cause. She tried to speak, but her mouth just hung open. She opened the envelope, saw the printouts, screenshots, bank records, the hotel receipts, the messages, everything, in black and white. She didn't say a word during the drive home. 3 weeks later, we were standing in court. My lawyer had already submitted the entire evidence file. Her lawyer, clearly overwhelmed, tried to argue emotional distress, temporary lapses in judgment, and that I had been neglectful. But the judge wasn't buying it. Then I played the audio. I'd recorded her weeks before, when she didn't know I was home. She was on the phone with one of her friends, bragging, laughing. James? He's harmless. He's like wallpaper. He'll never leave me. He doesn't even know I'm alive half the time. I could cheat right in front of him, and he'd apologize for blinking. The courtroom went silent. Her friend's voice on the recording chuckled. So why stay? And Emily replied, because he pays for everything. Because I can. Because he's safe. The judge didn't even look at her after that. Final ruling, I got the house. I kept my savings. She got nothing but her car and whatever she could carry out in 2 suitcases. And when she walked past me that final time, dragging those overstuffed bags through the rain, she didn't look angry. She looked terrified. Not of me, but of herself. Because for the first time, she saw what she destroyed, not just a marriage, but her last anchor to anything stable, anything real. And the man she thought was too safe to ever fight back had already won. Satisfaction hook. She screamed that I ruined her life. I just reminded her I wasn't the one who lied. Peaceful. Healed. Grounded. A soft voice after the storm. Full closure. It's been 14 months since the divorce was finalized. I live alone now, in a small cabin about an hour outside of Seattle. It's not fancy. One bedroom. Old brick fireplace. Trees everywhere. And silence. Beautiful, healing silence. I wake up early. Make coffee without having to ask how she wants hers. I go on long hikes. I read again. Real books, not just email threads and system reports. I even started painting badly, but who cares? There's nobody here to judge. Nobody to lie. Just me. I thought I'd be angry longer than this. Bitter. Scarred. But I'm not. Because the truth is, the worst thing she ever did to me was also the best thing she ever gave me. She forced me to face myself. To see that love isn't real if it's only one-sided. That being safe isn't something to be mocked. It's something most people spend their whole lives searching for. She threw away a man who loved her completely. For what? Late nights? Cheap thrills? A man who ghosted her 2 months after I left? Last I heard, she's bouncing between friends' couches, begging for work, crying about how she lost everything. And maybe she did. But me? I found myself. And I don't hate her. I don't even wish her harm. I just don't care anymore. That's the real peace. That's the real revenge. Because she didn't break me. She revealed me. And I took what she tried to destroy and rebuilt it stronger, quieter, and more honest than ever before. She took everything except my soul. And from that, I rebuilt my life. Not for her, not for revenge, but for me. Studio microphone. If this story moved you, share it. Someone out there needs to hear it. And if you've ever felt invisible, remember, still waters run deep.